And how did that journey start? Where did you start? Obviously, you mentioned the sort of faster runs for about a minute and then a walk, run, walk kind of principle. But did it start off becoming a bit more regular because you were doing an event, or was it just because you wanted it for headspace? What was the sort of the start of that journey?
Yeah, so there were kind of a couple of factors. One of the main ones was getting into park run, which is actually something that I ended up looking at as part of my research. And park run being kind of a different style of running event in that um, it's very much, again, adaptable to whatever an individual person is looking to get out of it. So it might be like we know plenty of people that will go to parkrun and try and get their 5K PB and look at it as a really useful training tool. But then again, plenty of other people that will just go to enjoy it and see their mates and have a stroll around in some nice green space. So yeah, kind of parkrun was a good factor behind me kind of running more regularly, week in, week out kind of thing. And then I joined a running club, local running club, met some lovely people through that. And actually, my boss at the time was really into running, and I always thought he had a brilliant work-life balance because I think working in research, you don't kind of have a 9 to 5 style job. It's quite easy for your work to kind of spill over into your kind of playtime. And he was great at really encouraging me to explore my hobbies and do things like go for a run after work or in the middle of the workday and just kind of refresh myself in that way.
So you mentioned the park run and the research and your former sort of what you did in your research around psychology. So can you elaborate at all on that and summarize what it was, or are you not able to say?
Yeah, no, I can definitely talk about it. So my research at that time was kind of looking at the link between well-being and physical activity. And I think we typically look at that in terms of participating in sport, whatever it is, or doing any kind of exercise can have these amazing benefits for your mental health. And this was almost kind of flipping that on its head and looking at if you help someone to feel better mentally, then are they then more likely to take care of themselves across the board? So maybe be more interested in doing sport, maybe have a better diet, all these kind of things that you then kind of get a positive cycle between the two, and everything kind of just continues to improve. So parkrun, we looked at the factors that made people more regularly attend over time, and then also just kind of had a bit of a chat about people really and asked them what they liked about it and what they thought was special about it and different to other events. And the main things that came out were people were most likely to keep on going they if they found it fun. That was one kind of factor, but actually the most important thing was if they found it meaningful. And by that I mean kind of if they felt like it was important for a reason beyond just themselves, and kind of built towards any kind of longer term goals that they had. And I think one of the lovely things about parkrun is that it's this really organic thing that's just grown from a couple of mates having run in a park, and that building and building and building to this huge international thing. And it's such a community that people can be part of. They can run it, they can volunteer and give back to the other runners there. And you get all generations, people bring their dogs. So it's just a lovely atmosphere to be in.
Yeah. Did park run show any interest in the research?
Yeah. So they've actually got a huge research hub. I think it's becoming something that's more and more interesting to researchers to have a look at. And I think you can maybe compare parkrun to other healthy behaviour initiatives that may be more formal but haven't been so successful. And it's really interesting for those initiatives to look at what parkrun's done well and try and replicate that in what they do. So yeah, parkrun. We sent a kind of a little blurb of the research off to parkrun and wrote a little blog on it. And I think it's something that probably might not come as a massive surprise to parkrun, the research findings. I don't think it's ever something that they consciously set out to do. Like I said, it's this really organic thing that's mates getting together, going for a run, and then lots of other people thinking, oh, I'd like to join in with that as well. But I think they're probably aware now of actually what a significant impact they're having, and also very conscious of keeping that ethos of it being super chilled, and really welcoming, really inclusive.
Yeah, and I'm very aware, and I'm sure you are, and the listeners, about your Mark Zuckerbergs, your Elon Musks, and people that have changed the world. But in a way, I like to think of something like Parkrun as having done that at a certain level as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, when I was writing the research about it, I was almost kind of comparing it to not a religion per se, like not some weird cult or anything, but it's something that kind of what I was referencing about in the beginning, that you can go there every week. It's almost always on, even kind of Christmas, New Year. The only thing that stops it up here is if the weather's really bad and trees are going to fall down.
Yeah.
But it's that very, very reliable thing that people can do and see people that they know week in, week out, and get that lovely sense of community connection.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've spent plenty of time at park runs, various places across the country in my period of time as well. And I'd agree with all of that. And like you said, that organic growth, they didn't necessarily set out to achieve this, but look what it's achieving, and just the people that we probably individually know locally and the impact it has on them, let alone doing that across the UK and then across the world. That's an even bigger achievement. And the nice thing is they probably didn't even have that on their agenda. So, I love Parkrun, and I think that's really interesting to hear about your research and understand that, there are some things there, like that meaningful part, and people finding it fun, being important. And, you've mentioned there a few times about the process as well, of it being some part of something greater.